innovations, the way we have technology in Crusader Kings. Are all these innovations actually accurate? What do they actually represent? I have no clue. I thought it would be an interesting bit for a video. Today, I'm gonna look at the differences in the innovations starting off in the tribal era. I'm not a historian, but I will just try to find the information and present it here, and I will drop down the sources or where I got the information and how. The first era we start at is the tribal era. This starts around the year 867, with the first technology being moats. I remember having learned from like a distant past called school that moats and bailies were together a thing, where you would have, in my definition, like a hill or an artificial earthwork, where on top you would have a fortification, and on the side you would have the bailey. In the bailey you would have like the blacksmith, the horses, or barracks, stuff like that. Crusader Kings kind of seems to agree, because if I go to the description of the moats in the game, it does the Star Wars funny, and it says the joke of, look, you have literally the high ground. Look, Anakin, it's foolish. I have the high ground. Yeah, I lost my legs. Yeah! Stuff like that. So I did the most professional form of the research, and I googled it, and I clicked on the first page, being that said Wikipedia. On the Wikipedia, I was hit in the face, bam, with the first problem. It said that moats appeared in the 10th century. 867, the starting date of Crusader Kings, is not the age of the moats and bailies then. Yeah, well, that's a bit of a problem. Okay, maybe this technology is there, but it's not yet unlocked. But no, if I log in on the game, I go to the starting date, the technology does exist in the world. So I'm like, okay, so that's not what they mean. So maybe I shouldn't use Wikipedia. Maybe Paradox did correct research and I am just an idiot, right, for using Wikipedia. So I do the hard, difficult thing. I go to Google Scholar. You know how hard it is to Google Scholar, because I type something in Google, that's like 2 seconds. Going to Google Scholar, I have to type in Google Scholar in Google, click on that, go to that, and then type this thing I wanted to type first. Then I click on pages, and the pages sometimes are blocked because I have to pay university or I don't have access to my old university account. So I have to click. That's like 30 seconds it took me to find a paper that I could read completely. So I found one. After the hard work, you know, I now know why other people do not research their YouTube videos, you know. It's hard work, alright? See me sweating. Hard, stressed, and my stress is so high. So this one does talk about the moats and bailies, especially atypical moats and bailies, predating the starting date in Crusader Kings even. And it kind of does make sense, because it's not like in the 9th century the Normans and the French start just using moats and bailies out of nowhere. Like 1 century, no moats and bailies, next century, there we have moats and bailies. So it makes sense that slowly the moats and bailies evolved. They talk even about the Frankish times. It's like before this split happened. There is another problem, because it does talk about like how the Normans introduced the more popular form of the moats and bailies in Britain, and in game there are no moats and bailies in France or in Normandy, but they are in Britain. Everybody in Britain has them except for the Norse invaders. The paper does talk about moats and bailies in Britain, but those moats and bailies are after the start date in Crusader Kings. But they are before the Norman invasion. The Norman invasion is a bit later than the first start date. So already I'm having a couple of problems. And in game itself, if I look at it better, apparently moats you can build before you invent technology moats. The thing that is allowed whilst you unlock the innovation moats is bailies. Why? I don't know. Why is it everywhere in Britain that they have moats and bailies available? I don't know. I don't know what you were thinking. Like, did they mention the opium, opioid, OP? I don't even know what it is. I haven't Googled it. It isn't in my script here. I have a little script here and I forgot to add it. terrible. It's Dyslect wrote this script. Me, the Dyslect wrote this script. Terrible script. Ugh. Ugh. So I don't know what it means. I don't know what Paradox is trying to pull with the opioids for like the pre-Roman hill forts the Britons, the people in Britain would have against the Romans. I don't think they meant that, so I don't know what they actually are meaning there. So it's a bit confusing. The Motte-and-Baileys get an F tier from effing ridiculous. I don't know why they get an F tier. I don't know when this is a tier list. This is not a tier list. All right. The next one we go to the Onager. Onager is a catapult, but apparently they have like a bunch of hair in the middle or string. There's also a donkey that is called an onager, or it looks like a donkey. And it creates tension once you spin the hair at the bottom. And then once the tension is released, it shoots out its load at the enemy. And you have a dirty mind. Just don't Google the things I said, because you find... If you describe it like that, you find weird stuff. So once the tension is released, the whole thing is a bit swinging, and it shakes and it gets back into place again. But that's also the reason why it doesn't have wheels, because if it would have wheels, it would like move a lot. And if you want to hit something with artillery, you have first to shoot your artillery at a target, and first you shoot maybe a bit too far, then you shoot too close, and then you look, okay, where in the middle was it at 1/3 between A or B that we hit, or the target, or is it like right in the middle? And that way you can calculate where to aim. So let's say you aim at 60 degrees, miss, at 10 degrees, miss. Okay, then you know it's somewhere in between those 2 degrees. It's more close to the 60 degrees, so maybe you try 40 degrees. Except when you are the Prussians, you are not able to calculate it before you do your first shot. So it didn't have the wheels. The Romans would carry them into battle, place them down, and shoot at the enemies. But it was easier than using like other siege weapons that were more complex, that needed a lot of more setup, like the Scorpion. Then for the Onagers being in Crusader Kings, completely missed the point of the whole what it's doing in game. They stopped being used after the year 400. So what are they doing so far into the future? There's like 400 years. So you could doubt it if you say, okay, 200 years, 100 years, maybe there were like a few around, and because you're playing alternative history, you can reintroduce them, whatever. But no, we are using them 400 years after their last use. How are we using? I don't know. This feels a bit weird. Like, literally what the function of the technology is to give you a siege unit. A unit that you can use to siege down castles. Why not use a different catapult? Or why not use a different siege weapon? You don't need... It's just siege technology level 1. And the next tier has siege technology level 2. Why does it need to be this one catapult that didn't exist? I don't know why. Now to Bannus, or according to Wikitonology, it is an ancient Proto-Germanic word for banana. Not that type of banana. I don't know. That's you that you're thinking dirty stuff. That says more about you than anybody else. Banana is the word for not the fruit banana, or the other things that we call bananas, metaphorically. This banana is a word for ordering, summoning, or forbidding. Yeah, it's a bit weird. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Not the banana bit, but I mean, this word sounds a lot like banner. Because when I said Bannus, I was like, okay, banner, right? It's like Latin-ish type of word for banner. And I just thought, you know what? Is that why we follow banners in battle? If we have like big lines of soldiers, and they have the bannerman walking forward, and you have to follow the banner, and different colors of banners for different commands. So I thought that's pretty cool. So I looked it up, and nope, that's not true. I just wanted to drop it there. Because probably if I made that mental connection, somebody else made that mental connection. And sadly, that's not true. I looked it up. It's a different Proto-Germanic word for banner. That still doesn't mean that both of those words could be linked. So, or not. So if somebody wants to get some extra credit for their history, I think this is an interesting one. In-game itself, next to this rant of words, It unlocks new contracts, like the Marsh, and the Marsh contract is like what later would become the Marshals, and they would be more like a feudal contract where people would be used for their military strength on the frontier lands. And you get an extra acolyte, so that's pretty cool. Barracks is just like a building where you have soldiers that sleep in and live there, and that's their temporary residence when they do their soldiering work. It's not that technologically advanced. Apparently you can already build barracks in the game before you have this technology, so I guess this is like the specialized barracks. And the barracks, of course, already existed before the Middle Ages, Roman times, ancient Greece. They exist across this planet. Like wherever they had soldiers and they needed to stay permanently, you have a barrack. And the mustering grounds. The mustering grounds is the place where you're forced to do morning sports right before you had any breakfast. And the only thing you're worried about is that you have to clean your room with the other people. The mustering grounds is the place like where you get people together, where you do trainings, or where they do the marching down there, or the commander gives cool epic speeches, stuff like that. Just to wrap it up, the last one is Quilted armour. Quilted armour is layered armour with silk. Silk is expensive stuff. I mean, layered armour with linen. The description itself says that this layered linen can stop arrows. So I did the perfect scientific research of looking at YouTube videos where people shoot arrows at those layered linen. The description does say it doesn't stop everything, it can stop arrows. And that's true. It kind of, when they hit it, it kind of does go through the linen most of the times. But most of the times they are using longbow. They are using super cool advanced crossbows. So maybe not all the experiments are the most realistic. Still, it doesn't always penetrate completely, and if you are in battle, you are not shooting from a close range, you're shooting from a distance. And probably also one video was talking about, like, if it protects you, right, the clothing, the linen they were using, like the linen was not that thick, was this thick. He was saying, like, usually soldiers, if they get more protection, they would wear more clothing. This is way within the comfort level of wearing this armor. So they could wear 3 times as much or 4 times as much, I don't know how many times as much, than what we have used for this experiment. And all the other experiments with this type of linen were using about the same amount, not that thick actually. So it is possible that back then they had thicker linen. Or you could imagine if you have arrow-proof linen layers that it would be thicker. And then there is differences because there are, apparently they can harden the linen. It doesn't describe here that they harden the linen, or they can harden it with something black. That could be something like, I don't know, like some oily stuff that they use to harden it. So just the layered linen might not be everything to the story. That's what I'm just saying. So this is completely a plausible, cool armor that resists arrows. I can just say Gambeson. Yeah, Gambeson's also. But, you know, apparently Gambesons were already used. Even sort of Gambesons were used before the Middle Ages by other peoples. The Greek linen thorax is in the name, linen. I don't need to prove that this is a... If it says linen thorax, that it is made of linen. With the hardened linen, stuff like that. Alright, that's my description of the technology. That's just the first one to do tribal era. The civilian one we do maybe another time. I hope this was interesting, and I hope I'm being open, that people know where I got the information from. And I think it's completely fine for me, not being an historian, to be able to drop this. But just be transparent about it, that I don't know everything. And we just like this game, right? We like Crusader Kings, so definitely people who like Crusader Kings, I can assume most of us do like history. Maybe there are few people that like Crusader Kings only for the killing. So yeah, I think it's fine, because, you know, we like history, and feel free to tell me in the comments the other technologies, like drop down there, oh yeah, I know about this technology, I know some interesting facts. Or if you know that I said something wrong, feel free to tell me. Like, just do, because I'm not going to be claiming that I'm an expert. And maybe if we drop more information and with some sources that I can check it out, I can make the next videos better. And because I am doing a Mare campaign, at one point I will go to Europa Universalis, I will go to Victoria, to Hearts of Iron, to Stellaris. It would be interesting to do all those technologies as like a sideshow when I have to fill in gaps between the editing. Because my editing maybe lasts like half a year. And it would be interesting because I do know people that do physics or more in the science stuff, to get them and let them talk about how realistic it would be to make a Stellaris force field. I think that's out there in fantasy, but if they can figure out a way, we are gonna drop it here. You know, we're gonna go through all the technologies then, and we're gonna be like, is this realistic? Is this possible? Or is this more just fantasy? Thank you for watching. Feel always free to like and or subscribe. Bye bye.